I think the main idea of this part of the book would be to help people when they need it most, like when Katniss volunteered to take her sister's place in the Hunger Games. She knew that she was too young to do it, and she really protected her. She said she'd always protect her in any way that she could, so she protected her from dying in the Hunger Games. And everybody in the crowd greatly appreciated it. They gave the sign of appreciation at the ceremony. So yeah, just she helped her out, and I think that's the main idea of this part of the book. My question for this part of the book would be, do you think that Katniss's partner Peeta will last long in the Hunger Games? Why and why not? I infer that Katniss will try to run away from the Hunger Games later on in the book because they mentioned the girl Deli Cartwright and how she ran away, and I think that maybe they would put that in there for a reason to explain what happens to the people and why they should run away from it. So I think that she will try to run away from the Hunger Games later on. The connection I can make to this book would probably be to the show Survivor. I don't know why, just when I started reading it, just kind of reminded me of it. Some parts are the same and some parts are different. I think that in Survivor, they don't really fight for their lives. They just kind of fight for food and for shelter, and just like what they'll be doing on the Hunger Games. But yeah, in a way, most of it is pretty similar to each other, but in a way, they are kind of different as well.
I think that the main idea of this reading is to stand up for others and do what you know is right, even if the consequences are severe. I think that this is the main idea of this section because Katniss has been standing up for her little sister Prim for the past 5 years. She's also taken Prim's place in the reaping because she knew it was wrong and she didn't want her little sister to die at the age of 12. In this book I made a text-world connection. In the book there's a tyrant known as the Capitol. The Capitol takes 2 kids per district in between the ages of 12 and 18 to fight to the death each year. This reminds me of how Hitler forced children of the same age to enroll into the Hitler Youth. Both groups had no choice but to listen, or would be severely punished. I predict that Katniss will work on a team with Peeta for the entire Hunger Games. At the end of the games, when it's just Peeta and Katniss left, I think that they'll refuse to kill each other. I think this because Peeta and Katniss have been getting along well, and even though Katniss thinks that Peeta is planning on killing her, I think that he is truly being sincere and wanting to help her. My question for this reading is, why would Peeta Marlick burn the bread to give it to Katniss, a girl that he hardly knows?
I think that the main idea slash theme of the section is to be brave. I think this because Katniss takes over the spot of Primrose in the Hunger Games and now has to fight for her life. This shows me that Katniss was brave and would do anything for her little sister. Connection. Katniss throws the knife at the wall, trying to impress Haymarch, but it hits the wall with great accuracy, making her look better than she really is. This reminds me of when I tried to impress my brother by working out and lifting really big weights, and I lifted them and impressed him. Inference. I think that Katniss liked Peeta Mallard because she was like, why him? So it sounded like she used to like him. Also, she said that their interaction happened years ago, so that's why I think that she used to like him. Question. How come no one volunteered to go up for someone else or their siblings in the Hunger Games for the past decade?
Main idea. In this section, Prim, Katniss's 12-year-old sister, gets picked to compete in the Hunger Games, but Katniss wouldn't allow it, so she volunteered to be placed in the Hunger Games instead. This scene is important to the reader because it shows that Katniss really cares about the well-being of her sister. We learn that the Hunger Games is a game that you have to fight to the death because to win you have to be the last man standing. So to risk your life for the well-being of her sister really shows that she loves and cares for her sister and her life. This is my question. Why does Mr. Mellor say he would keep an eye out for Prim, considering he has nothing to do with the family other than trade bread from the bakery for animals that Katniss hunts? This is my connection. In this section of the book, it said that Prim got very emotional when Katniss was heading to the stage during the reaping. This reminds me of the time my mom was going to Cuba. When she was leaving, I have to say I got a little emotional. In some ways, these scenes are the same because the person we love was leaving, but I know my mom was coming back. Prim doesn't know if Katniss will be coming back because she's competing in the Hunger Games. This is my inference. I predict that District 12 will soon be like District 13 in bits, because in the story we learn that District 12 is a poor looking district. They only have energy for a few hours, and from my inference about District 12, I think it is a dust covered district from all the mining. I also know from my background knowledge that when you mine, you sometimes blow stuff up, and then you get all dusty, and most of the adults in District 12 mine, so I imagine that District 12 is dusty. And the capital is so fake, so with District 12 being so different, I don't know if the capital will like it and keep it like it.
I think the main idea of this part of the book I think the main part of this book is to stand up for people when they need it the most, like when Katniss volunteered to compete in the Hunger Games, so her 12-year-old sister wouldn't get hurt. My question is, will Katniss and Peeta start dating in the future? My connection is when my brother got hurt for the range competition for cadets, so I had to go for him. This reminds me of the part where in the book where Katniss volunteered to go for her 12-year-old sister. I predict at the end of the Hunger Games, Peter and Katniss will refuse to kill each other because they seem to like each other in the book. So I think that they will not kill each other, and in the end they'll have a in the end of the book that they'll either get married or fall in love.
In response to Haley's question about why nobody would want to take anybody's place in the reaping, I think that no one would volunteer to take anybody's place at the reaping because Haymitch could not help any of the tributes. Nobody wants to have Haymitch as their only hope in the games. In response to Curtis, I think that Peeta will team up with Katniss and stay alive for a good chunk, if not all of the games. I think this because Peeta is a baker, and bakers have to lift a lot of weight when they're working when he was working for his dad. And since he's strong, he should be able to survive a long time in the games.
To Trevor's question, I think that Peeta knew that she didn't have any food and probably looked really skinny, so he felt that it was his responsibility to help her out and give her food. He thought that burning the bread would be the only way of getting food out to her.
In response to Haley's question, I don't think anybody else volunteered to go to the Hunger Games because in some districts it is a great honor to be in the Hunger Games, and I don't think that they really wanted to ruin it for the other people. I think the reason that Katniss did it is because it was her little sister, but to everyone else, it's such a great honor that they just didn't feel it was necessary. I think the main idea in this part of the book would be to always think over your actions. Like when Katniss started running late in the Hunger Games, instead of trying to catch up to the rest of the runners and potentially get herself killed, she stayed back to get the backpack. And there was a bow there that she really, really wanted, but she knew that if she went to go get it, someone might have already had a better weapon and killed her. So overall, she did make the right decision by staying back. I made a connection to this book by when Katniss was walking around her room and having trouble sleeping because she had a lot of stuff on her mind, like the Hunger Games and what the terrain would be like, and if they would have a bull there. And she had a lot of stuff on her mind. And I can relate to that because I know when I have trouble sleeping, that's when I have a lot of stuff on my mind. So yeah, that's my connection. My inference is that I think that Katniss will eventually get the bow, because at the beginning she said at the Hunger Games she said that was her weapon and that she needed it and that was going to keep her alive. So even though she didn't get it off the starting, I do think that she will fight to get it later on in the Hunger Games. Just by the way she was talking. My question for this week is, do you think that Haymitch's suggestion to go as far away as possible from the other tributes was a good idea? Because maybe if Katniss wasn't thinking so much about Haymitch's suggestion, she might have got the bow and she might have got better weapons and increases her chance of winning the Hunger Games. And also maybe it could have got her killed. So my question is, do you think that it was a good idea? Why and why not?
I think that the main idea of this part of the book is that there are consequences for your actions. And it doesn't mean that they have to be bad. They can be good too. I think this because when Katniss shot an arrow at the game makers, she thought that she would get in trouble and a bad score. Instead, she scored 11 points and impressed the game makers. Plus, she didn't get in trouble. On page 115, Katniss has to practice wearing high heels for the interview. Katniss says, "The shoes were the worst part. I don't wear high heels. This reminds me of when I'm going to have to wear high heels for the grade 8 graduation. I don't wear high heels either." I think that in the end of the book, it's only going to be Peeta and Katniss left, and they will have to help each other out until the end of the Hunger Games. I think this because Peeta likes Katniss, and I know that he isn't going to kill her. I also know that Katniss won't kill Peeta either, so that means they will have to help each other out to survive the end of the Hunger Games. My question for this part of the book is that why do you think that Katniss thought she looked stupid when Peeta told the crowd that he liked her?
This is my main idea. I think that the main idea or theme in this section of the reading would be to be obedient and listen to who's in charge, even if you have a different opinion. I think that this is the main idea for this section because Katniss was told by her mentor, Haymitch, to run away from the bloodbath at the cornucopia. Katniss was going to disobey him and then run and get the bow and arrow, but sit down for her, but she realized that Haymitch was right. She knows that she would have died right then and there if she had have disobeyed Haymitch. Here's my connection. In this book, I made a text-to-text connection with a book that my class is reading called The Book Thief. In this book, during an interview with Peeta Mellark, we learned that he is in love with Katniss. This deeply annoys Katniss. This reminds me of how in The Book Thief, Liesel is annoyed at Rudy for always asking for a kiss. In both of these two cases, the main character is always going to be annoyed at the second place main character. Here's my prediction. I predict that Katniss will disobey Haymitch's orders for the games. She has already contemplated disobeying Haymitch right at the start of the games to get the bow and the arrows, but decided against it, thinking that Haymitch was probably right. I think that Katniss will not try to find water right away at the start, and just try to last as long as she can without it. I also think that she might try to steal it from the survivors at the cornucopia, because she always said that they would always get all the food that would stay there if they stayed to try to fight it out. So I think that she's going to just try to avoid them for a little while and then try to get everybody else who still survived to team up and maybe just distract them and then steal all their food. Here's my question. If both Peeta and Katniss will be forced to try to kill each other in the games, why would Haymitch want them to act like friends in public?
This is my main idea. In this section, Katniss is taking part in all the preparation for the Hunger Games, like the training and the interviews. Like the interviews with Caesar, Katniss had to show a different giggly side of herself. This scene is important to the reader because it shows that for the first time we clearly see a different side of Katniss, that she can act. We learn for the Hunger Games you need to have different personalities because you're faced with your friends being killed, no food, no shelter, and showing a sign of weakness, it can be your last sign. The theme emerging is that Katniss is sneaky because she can put up different faces Katniss will be able to see the weakness in others than them seeing the weakness in her. This is my question. Does Katniss have any sponsors, considering she has to look and do stuff in a certain way to get sponsors and not scare them away? This is my inference. I predict that something big will happen at the interview. I think this because at all the big events in the book, something dramatic always happened. Like the reaping, Katniss goes up for her sister. When the game makers were watching Katniss, she shot an arrow at them. I also know from my background knowledge that a dramatic happening sometimes made the event bigger, like at the Olympics when the skeleton competitor was killed. This is my connection. In this session, Katniss wears very fancy clothes to any public events that she has to take part in for the Hunger Games. This reminds me of on the cruise. Every fancy dinner we had to look nice. This scene clearly shows that Katniss wants sponsors and doesn't want to scare them away.
Here's my response to Curtis's question. I think that if Katniss had have disobeyed Haymitch and got the bow, the games would be over pretty quickly. I think that she would have killed pretty much everybody right away because she has a really good shot and shot the apple right out of the pig's mouth at the game maker's table.
In response to Haley's question, I think that Katniss thought she looked stupid because she was shocked and that nobody told her that Peeta was going to do that. So maybe she wanted a heads up, and she was embarrassed too. She looked stupid. Maybe she looked stupid because she was blushing, and her facial expressions definitely would have shown as well. And it was in front of a whole bunch of people, so she might have thought she looked stupid just because she was embarrassed.
To Trevor's question, I think that Haymitch wants to have them as friends in public because the nicer you are or look to people, the more they're going to want to give sponsors to you.
This is my response to Haley's question. I think that Katniss thought she looked stupid when Peeta told the crowd he liked her because she would have felt embarrassed. I could tell that Katniss felt embarrassed because she started to blush after Peeta proclaimed his love for Katniss.
I think the main idea of this part of the book is to listen to people even if you think they're wrong. My connection is sometimes when my room is messy, my mom tells me to do it, but sometimes I disobey her and just go about my day like playing Xbox and chilling. I think that Katniss is going to disobey Haymitch's orders again since he was already thinking about it, and next time she might actually do it and die. My question is, will Peeta and Katniss kill each other at the end of the Hunger Games?
My question for this part of the book would be, what do you think will happen to Katniss when it comes down to killing Rue? Do you think she will take charge and just kill her, or do you think that she will leave early before it's just the two of them and let somebody else kill her? My connection would be to when Katniss had the tracker jacker nest above her when she was trying to get away from the careers, and she had to take it down. It reminds me of when we had a hornet's nest outside my house, and we had to take it down. And we, even though that these were not deadly and the stings weren't deadly, we still got stung a few times. I think the main idea in this part of the book would be to never underestimate anything or anybody. Like when Katniss teamed up with Rue, she she found out that she had, if not all, more of her skills, and she was shocked by all she knew. And now they are paired up as a team, and they're gonna make a great team because with Katniss's hunting skills and Rue's gathering skills, so she didn't underestimate her. She knew that to last this far in the game, she must have had talent. So they joined up as a team. I predict that Katniss will not kill Rue in the story because it sounds like they have too much of a bond together, and I just think that she will leave before when she knows that she has to kill her soon. I also know from like kind of personal experience that I wouldn't have the heart to kill someone that age and someone that I had that much with a bond with.
I think that the main idea of this section is to stay alert at all times. and plan ahead a day or two. I think that's because you never really know what's going to happen, and when Katniss woke up from the Game Maker's attack, she was already ready, packed, and ready to go in the morning. And I think this is why she survived that attack. Question: why do you think Peeta saved her life again? Do you think it's because Peeta likes Katniss, or do you think it's because Peeta wants Katniss to survive the end of the Hunger Games? Connection. The Hunger Games, in general, reminds me of dodgeball. It reminds me of dodgeball because you have friends as your opponents, and you have to create different tactics to try to and survive. The only difference is that in the Hunger Games, you are fighting for life or death, and in dodgeball, it's only winning or losing a game. Inference. I infer that the game makers are going to kill Rue to get some excitement and action to start up, and because no one is getting killed. They want to kill someone like Rue because Rue hasn't killed anyone yet, and to remind the other players that they can kill players too.
I think that the main idea or theme of this section is to trust others and work as a team during dangerous situations. I think that this is the main idea of this section because Katniss teamed up with Rue to take out the career's food supplies, but also because she trusts her. Katniss doesn't trust Peeta anymore, which could get her or Peeta killed, because they won't help each other anymore. If Katniss trusted Peeta as much as she does Rue, then they could team up to take down the careers easily. Here's my connection. While reading the book, I made a text-to-world connection with military tactics. In the book, Katniss used her arrows to make the apples fall to detonate the landmines, so she could destroy all of the career's supplies and cripple them. This is like how armies will often bomb each other's transportation methods so no supplies get through, bomb military personnel and equipment. In both cases, one group will use some destruction force to cripple their opponents. Inference. I predict that Katniss will be able and willing to kill the other tributes and the careers now that she has the bow. I think she won't have a problem killing because Gale said at the start of the book, if you can forget that they're human, what difference does it make? Katniss won't have a problem believing this for everybody but Rue, as the rest of the tributes, mostly the careers and Peeta, have killed everyone in the game so far. I also think that Katniss might kill Peeta by mistake if the Tracker Jackers get her again. Here's my question. Why would Peeta side with the careers for most of this section?
This is my main idea. In this section, Katniss starts competing in the Hunger Games. Problems occurred like the Tracker Jacker wasp sting, or should I say 3, and dehydration. This scene is important to the reader because we clearly see that Katniss is a perseverer. We learn that Katniss really had to persevere when her and Rue were in the tree, with the Tracker Jacker above them. They plan to cut the branch that the Tracker Jackers were on, so that the careers would flee or get killed by the stings. The theme emerging is perseverance because that when Katniss was cutting the branch, she had to persevere because she had burns all over her hands from the fire, and she didn't stop cutting. Why are the careers letting Peeta join them? Considering he's from District 12, and I infer he is a skinny-looking boy, while all the careers are. This is my connection. In this scene, Katniss got stung by the Tracker Jacker, and the poison made her hallucinate. This reminds me of the time I got a bee sting, and I hallucinated that the sting was much worse than what it was. This is my inference. I predict that the Tracker Jackers will kill or seriously hurt somebody. Because in the story we learned that when the Tracker Jackers got mad, they find whoever got them mad, and in this case it would be Katniss, but the Tracker Jacker nest didn't land there. It landed in the careers camp. I also know from my background knowledge that if you mess around with a bee or a wasp, they won't stop until they sting you.
This is in response to Curtis's question. I think that when it comes down to Rue and Katniss, Katniss will kill herself so that way Rue will live. I think that Katniss will kill herself because she really seems to care about Rue and would feel really upset if she had to kill Rue herself. This in response to Haley's inference. I agree with your inference for this. I think that the game makers will either force everyone together so Rue dies, or that they will set another trap like what they did with the fireballs. One way or another, Rue will die at the hands of the game makers.
In response to Faith's question, I think that the careers are letting Peeta join their group to get to Katniss, because in the book, they're the one they really want to kill Katniss. So I think maybe Peeta will know her game plan and help them get to her.
This is in response to Haley's question. I think Peeta saved Katniss's life because he knew that he was going to get severely hurt by Cato. I think that's how you pronounce his name. In the story, it said that after Peeta told Katniss to run, Cato soon hurt him really bad in the thigh. So I thought he knew that that was coming, so he wanted somebody from District 12 to win, so if he didn't have a chance, he would want Katniss to. This is my main idea. In this section, Katniss was faced with many heartbreaks, like Rue dying and Peeta being severely hurt. This scene is important to the reader because we clearly see that Katniss rose up so that the events wouldn't take her down. We learn that when Rue died, Katniss rose above it and made it peaceful because when Rue was closing her eyes, Katniss sang to her, but she never sings, and when Rue died, she went and put flowers over her. Katniss made it her goal to make sure Rue died peacefully. The theme emerging is compassion. Even when Rue was not there to accept it, Katniss still did it out of compassion. How long was Peeta in the mud hiding, considering when Katniss was washing it up, it took a couple of hours. This is my inference. I predict that Katniss will go to Cornucopia. I think this because in the story we learn that at Cornucopia there is a backpack with whatever you need. With Peeta being as hurt as he already is, I predict Katniss should go. Also, there is a new rule. If both competitors from a district go to the end, they will both win. So if Katniss can get it back for Peeta, they will both win. I also know from my background knowledge that if you are severely hurt, there are usually a pill or some kind of drug that you can take. And with the capital having everything that is high-tech, why shouldn't she go and save Peeta? This is my connection. In this section, Katniss has found Peeta and started to take care of him because of the new rule. If two competitors from the same district are at the end together, they both win. This reminds me of the time I hurt myself and one of my best friends was there to help me get through it. These two scenes clearly show that you can never go wrong with too many friends.
My main idea would be to when Katniss had to deal with Rue's death, and she had to watch over Peeta when she found him in the mud. She showed caring for one another, and no matter how much Katniss and Peeta had been through, she knew that she had to take care of him, and and also with Rue when because she knew that she was just young, and she knew that she had to take care of her too. So I think the main idea in this part of the book would be is caring. My inference in this part of the book I think that Katniss is going to win the whole Hunger Games. I think this because she has a lot of drive and determination. I think because of Rue's death and remembering Prim, and also finding Peeta, I think she has a lot of motivation to win, and I think this motivation gives her an advantage. So I think she's going to win. My question for this part of the book is that what do you think will happen to Peeta even though that he's feeling better? Do you think that being in the mud for all that time made him weak and will get killed, or do you think that he will win it all with Katniss? My connection from this part of the book is when Katniss said she lost hearing in her left ear. And like she said, it was really hard to adapt to, and it felt really uneven. And I know if something really loud goes off in my ear, then I know like it like rings, and I can't really hear out of it, and it does feel really uneven. So I can.
I think that the main idea or theme of this section would be to take care of the people that you're close to. I think that this is the main idea of this section because if Katniss hadn't have tried to help Peeta live after he got seriously wounded and blood poisoned, Peeta would have died and Katniss could have ended up dying all alone in the games. This is my connection. While reading this section, I made a text-to-text connection with the book thief. In the Hunger Games, Peeta and Katniss are starting to open up to each other and start to share their memories with each other. This reminds me of how Liesel and Max started to talk about their nightmares in their life. Both groups of people did this to get over their problems in one way or another. Here's my prediction. I predict that Cato will only go after Thresh and follow him into the field of grain that Peeta talked about and try to kill Thresh to avenge Clove's death. I think that he'll wound Thresh very badly, just like he did to Peeta, but Thresh will kill him in the same manner that he did to Clove, with a rock through the head. I think that Thresh could win easily because he seems to be way stronger and way larger than Cato. He also knows his way around that field, as earlier on in the book, Katniss said that was his domain. If Cato manages to wound Thresh before he dies, I think that Thresh will die a few days after Cato due to blood poisoning. This would only leave Foxface in District 12. Here's my question. What will Cato and Clove possibly need from the feast, as they are the two remaining careers, and careers are supposed to be trained to survive throughout the games?
Main idea / theme. You shouldn't get close to someone you don't really know because they could leave you by dying or betraying you at any time. I think this because Katniss got close to Rue and then she died. You shouldn't get close to someone you don't really know because by them dying or betraying you, it can make you sad, mad, or angry. The scene where Katniss kisses Peeta because he thought he was going to die of Katniss cut on his leg, and then he gets a bowl of soup. It reminds me when I was playing this game called Truth or Dare, and I had to hug 3 guys to get a reward. The only difference is that I hugged the 3 guys, and Katniss kissed her. I predict that the game makers will drive the last 3 players into action by a flood, and the lake / pond that Katniss, Peeta, and Peeta are staying at will flood their cave and will steer them towards Cato and the other players.
Answer to Curtis's question. I think that Peeta will gain strength, and I don't think that he will die. I think this because the mud may have affected his cut, but with Katniss's help and with her cleaning it, I think that it will be okay.
Question. How come the Hunger Games make it so that if both of the players from one district survive, they both go home?
This is a response to Trevor's question. I think Cato and Clove will need food from Cornucopia because in the text it said that Katniss blew up their supply of foods, and it also said that on the speaker that at Cornucopia is anything that you will need, so with them having all their supplies blown up, I think food is what they need.
In response to Trevor's question, I think that Cato and Clove are going to the cornucopia not to get supplies, but to kill the remaining tributes because they do have a lot of supplies, so they don't really need more supplies from the cornucopia, but they're going there to probably kill the remaining people.
Here's my main idea. I think that the main idea or theme of this section is that it is important to stand up for yourself, even if you're the little guy. I think that this is the main idea of this section because when Claudius Templesmith said that the rule about 2 tributes surviving was revoked,
Katniss tried to stand against them and prove that the game makers couldn't control her. Katniss also rebelled against the game makers with her own mini funeral for Rue. She placed flowers around her head, which smacks of rebellion in the game maker's face. She also tried to stand up against the game makers by planning a double suicide for her and Peeta, so the game makers would have to let them both live, as they must have a victor at the games. This clearly shows how standing up for yourself can make a big difference. Katniss stood up, and it kept her and Peeta alive. Here's my connection. While reading this section, I made a text-to-self connection. In the book, all of the tributes have died except for Foxface and Cato, for this section of my connection. Katniss is starting to feel very excited about getting to go home to District 12, as she feels she has a very good chance of going home now. Also, when Katniss is on the train going home, she feels very anxious and is a little worried. These emotions remind me of my family Christmases. This reminds me of my Christmases because I'm always excited and anxious to see what I get, but I'm also worried that it will sometimes be something that I don't like, or lately I'll be worried about my little sister, who will want to open all of the presents on her own. This shows how the same emotions can be linked to very different things.
Main idea. I think that the main idea of this section is that you shouldn't hide things from people. I think this because Katniss hid that her love for Peeta was a show, and now he and she are confused with their feelings for each other.
Here are my inference reflections. In week 1, when I said that Peeta and Katniss would work together for the entire games, I was wrong. They didn't work together until near the end of the games, when Claudius Templesmith said that if 2 tributes from the same district survived, they will be allowed to live. A clue that I would have missed that would be that Katniss kept on saying that Peeta is planning on killing her. In week 2, when I said that Katniss would disobey Haymitch and avoid finding water, I was wrong. She did start to go and try to find water after she got away from the cornucopia. A clue I would have missed would be when Katniss was saying that she sort of botched up the first instruction by Haymitch. In week 3, when I said since Katniss was now had the bow, she won't have much of a problem killing the competitors except for Rue. I was half right, as Katniss will gladly kill any career after Rue was killed, but until that happened, she didn't really want to kill anybody. In week 4, when I thought that Cato would go after Thresh to avenge Clove's death, but get killed, I was wrong. After a few days, Thresh's picture finally came up in the sky, signifying that he had died. Cato's picture was not in the sky. A clue that I would have missed might be that Cato's brutality up to this point and strength and skills were superior. I probably should have thought that about Cato's strength as well as Thresh's. Here's my question. What do you think would have happened if the Mutts didn't come into play during the games? Would Cato have won? Or would Peeta and Katniss have been able to kill him, as he had nothing to protect his face, hands, or feet?
Connection. The part when Peeta found out that Haymitch was coaching Katniss and not him, and he got really upset, reminds me of when my mom bought my brother something and not me, and I got mad. It reminds me of this because both me and Peeta got upset or mad because someone gave someone else something and they didn't give you anything. Week 1. I got my prediction right. Week 2. I got my prediction right. Week 3. I got my prediction wrong. I predicted that the game makers were going to kill Rue. Instead, a boy from District 1 killed her. Week 4, I got it wrong. I predicted that the water was going to flood into Katniss's and Peeta's cave, but instead the water dried up. Main idea. The main idea of the section is that you shouldn't hide things from people. I think this because Katniss hid that her love for Peeta was a show, and now Katniss and Peeta are confused with their feelings for each other. In week 1, I got my inference right. I thought that Katniss likes Peeta, and I was right. In week 2, I inferred that in the end of the book, it's only going to be Peeta and Katniss left. and they would have to help each other out until the end of the Hunger Games. I was correct. They had to help each other out, and they both won the Hunger Games. For week 3, I inferred that the game makers were going to kill Rue. I was wrong. The game makers did not kill Rue. A boy from District 1 killed Rue, and then Katniss killed the boy from District 1. Week 4. I got my inference wrong. I inferred that the game makers will drive the last 4 people into action by a flood. In the lake or pond that Katniss and Peeta are staying at will flood their cave. I was wrong. Instead, the pond or lake dried up. For week 4, when I inferred that the pond or stream that Peeta and Katniss were staying at would have flooded, and instead the water dried up, a clue that I missed was that I knew that there was a lake near Cornucopia, and I knew that those were the only 2 places that Katniss and Peeta knew of, and I also knew that Cato was staying near the lake by Cornucopia, so I should have thought that instead of the pond flooding, it would have dried up because there's a lake by Cornucopia. And that would also be another way to drive them all together in a fight. So
My main idea for this part of the book is that Katniss and Peeta are always helping each other with their wounds and their problems and dealing with what they're dealing with. So I think that the theme of this part of the book is compassion, and they always help one another. So yeah.
This is my main idea. In this section, the Hunger Games are coming to a mere end, and the boy with the bread is slipping away from Katniss. The scene is important to the reader because we clearly see that Katniss does have feelings for Peeta, and it wasn't all an act to get gifts from sponsors. We learn that Haymatch had a plan for Peeta to pretend to be a hopeless romantic for Katniss at the start of the novel, and Katniss didn't know about the plan. So she was suddenly surprised and didn't know what to think about it. But when she does realize about her feelings, Peeta slipping away from her,
My question for this part of the book is, what do you think the next book will be like? Do you think that Katniss and Peeta will stay in District 12 for long, or do you think they'll be faced with more problems with the Capitol?
this is my question. Why is the Capitol mad about the berry scene at the end of the games, considering Peeta and Katniss just didn't want to leave each other? Not a prank.
My connection for this part of the book is when the dogs attacked Cato, and I can relate to this because I have some dogs that live near my house, and they've attacked people before, and I couldn't imagine just getting bit once, let alone enough to kill you, so that's my connection.
This is my connection. In this section, Katniss realized that Peeta, the boy with the bread, is slipping away from her. This reminds me on the cruise and my friends. Before I even knew it, they were slipping away from me. These 2 scenes clearly show that don't take life for granted because before you know it, it could slip away from yourself. This is my inference response for week 1. In week 1, I inferred that District 12 would soon be like District 13 in bits. In this book, it didn't happen, but it could happen in the next 2 books of the series. This is my inference response. In week 2. In week 2, I inferred something big will happen at the interviews, and something big happened. Peeta declared his love for Katniss. I think I missed a clue, because in the story, Peeta wanted to train alone. Maybe it was to make up some plans with Haymatch. This is my inference for week 3. In week 3, I inferred that the Tracker Jackers would kill or seriously hurt somebody. It happened. The Tracker Jacker kills 2 people and hurt 3. The clue I found was in the story. It said that if you get the Tracker Jackers mad, they will not stop until they have had enough. This is my inference for week 4. In week 4, I inferred that Katniss would go to Cornucopia because Peeta was her. It happened. The clue I found was when Claudius Temple Smith said that there would be a backpack at Cornucopia for whatever you needed.
My inferences. My first inference was wrong. Katniss did never run away from the Hunger Games. I think maybe the clue that I missed was that she really wanted to win, and that maybe I didn't really catch into that, so she stayed with it. My second inference was right. Katniss did get the bow. I think that the clue that I went into there is that she was really hungry for the bow. She really wanted it, and that she knew that she would have won the Hunger Games with it. So I think that's how I clued into it. My third inference was right. Katniss did not kill Rue. She died on her own. I think the clue maybe that I went into there is that she had a lot of feelings for Rue and that she wouldn't have had the heart to kill her. So yeah. My last inference was right. Katniss did win the Hunger Games. I think maybe the clue that I caught on to here is that she did really want to win, and that she was determined for Rue and for Prim and for Peter. So that's probably why she won the Hunger Games.
A. What are the advantages of working with another school on a book club? Some advantages of working with another school on a book club are you meet new people, you hear different opinions, they might tell you something that you might have missed, and you connect with people that you might meet someday or in high school. B. Are there disadvantages? Yes, there are disadvantages. Some disadvantages are that you can't have a real conversation, and you can't ask why another group member think a certain way about something. C. How did listening to your group members on VoiceThread help you gain understanding of the text? Listening to the group members on VoiceThread helped me gain an understanding of the text by reminding me of something I might have forgotten or telling me something that I might have missed. Question D. What would you do differently when using this process again in order to gain a better understanding? I would reread the text I might not have understood, and I probably would have asked brain-drain questions because the questions that I had weren't brain-drain and wouldn't have helped me as much as a real brain-drain question would have.
Here are some advantages of working with another school on a book club. Meeting new people, learning from someone else's point of view, for us being the first one to do this book club, learning what the book means to other people, learning a different way, hearing others' opinions about the book. Here are some disadvantages. Sometimes you can't understand some of the comments. I think listening to your group members on VoiceThread helps you gain an understanding of the text because you're looking at somebody else's point of view of the text, and it saves more time because you're listening to them instead of reading it. What would you do differently when using this process again in order to gain a better understanding? I think that VoiceThread was a cool program, but Skype would be cool because you could have a conversation with the person instead of commenting and commenting and commenting. The other comments that I would have was it was a cool and fun way to do a book club, and I think we should do it again.
I think an advantage to this book would be that you'll get more opinions on the book and more voices. You could see a better angle on the book, and maybe things that you didn't understand, you'd get a better understanding of it. It also kind of prepares you for high school and talking in front of people you don't know, because you won't know everybody in their class in high school, so it could prepare you for that, but mostly just getting more voices around the book. I think some disadvantages would be that there would be some troubles with the microphones and the volume, so it would be harder to understand people, and also people in the computer lab, so there would be background noise, and it would be also hard to understand people. Yeah, there were a few disadvantages, and there was also confusion with the pictures. And if someone didn't post a picture, then some people didn't get a chance to record. So those are some disadvantages. I think listening to other group members on VoiceThread helps you understand the text because usually if I didn't understand something, if I could go on to VoiceThread and I could see if someone did understand, and more than not, some more people did understand than like something maybe I was having troubles with. So so it gives like a 360 view on the book and other people's opinions. No comments other than just I think more schools should do this because it is a learning experience for both the students and the teachers.